at you since they're embarrassed about their hair loss. However, when they receive a wig, that all changes. They feel more confident in their appearance, and they return to school and other activities with their family and friends. With the demand for our services increasing, we are excited to announce that we moved into our new wellness center in June of 2020. Yes, during the pandemic. The center allows our charity to double the amount of children we currently serve, and expand our programming to include a nutrition and fitness center to address nutritional needs, oncology chair massages to promote health and well-being, nail services for when nails become brittle and discolored or break, facials and skincare to help with the changes in the skin during treatments, an enchanted tea room where the families can enjoy refreshments and snacks, and in the evening this room can be reserved for endo-chemo parties and life celebrations. And also a raised therapy garden where families can have a safe, socially distanced place to grow vegetables and herbs they can cook and enjoy in healthy meal planning classes. Due to the children's health challenges, especially during COVID, they often cannot be around large groups of people, which limits family activities. Our facility is a controlled environment where they are safe to socialize without the exposure to the masses, and every room is sanitized after every use. All of these programs are available to the children in your area. Over the last few years, we have helped about 9 kids from your community, and this year we are asking for $1,000 for a child in the coming year. We keep our requests conservative based on the amount of children we serve in previous years and income levels. Maggie's Wigs for Kids is fortunate to have the Platinum Level Award for our commitment to financial transparency through GuideStar, a charity watchdog for nonprofits. And less than half of 1% of nonprofits receive this recognition. We are humbled to receive this recognition for the past 7 years, and your funds go directly to the children we serve. We do ask that if you ever know of a child in need of our services, please refer them to us. We help everyone, we charge nothing, and we turn no one away. You're welcome to share the folder I gave you with your family, local schools, or churches in your community. We can be contacted at 586-772-6656 or www.wigs4kids with the number 4. On behalf of the kids, I thank you for consideration and support. Are there any questions?
Any questions for council? No, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Anyone else at this time? Good evening.
Would it be okay if I shared some information?
Yes, please do. Please let us know who you are at the mic so everyone can hear.
Good evening. My name is Dory Vasquez Nolan. I'm the Executive Director of Care House, the Macomb County Child Advocacy Center. Care House is located in Mount Clemens with a satellite office in the city of Warren. And we're the only agency in Macomb County to offer a comprehensive, multidisciplinary response for child victims of sexual abuse, physical abuse, and for children that may have witnessed a violent act, along with their non-offending family members. Our goal is to reduce the trauma that is typically associated with child abuse investigations and to provide support and advocacy services to help the child on the road to healing. Care House is one of over 800 accredited children's advocacy centers in the United States. We collaborate with all law enforcement jurisdictions in Macomb County, as well as Homeland Security, the FBI, and Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. Those federal agencies are usually involved in cases of child pornography, sex trafficking, and those types of crimes. We also work with Children's Protective Services, the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office, and medical and mental health professionals. Almost 3 kids in every Michigan classroom and over 20,000 of all the children right here in Michigan are living with the trauma of sexual abuse. We know that the numbers are surely much higher than our best estimates because sadly most children never tell. That means that there are kids in every community here in Macomb County, every race, gender, and economic status that are living with the secret and shame of child sexual abuse. One of those kids could be your kids, your neighbor's kids, your kids' friends. Maybe it was even you or me. Kids, or over 800 children come from every community in Macomb County and begin their journey towards healing at Care House every year. Care House offers intervention and support services for the child victims and their parents, intervening to promote healing and helping them get past the trauma associated not only with the abuse but with the investigation. Our services include the coordination of forensic interviews, trauma-focused therapy sessions, child safety assessments, parent and child support groups, family advocacy, crisis counseling, access to no-cost forensic medical examinations, referrals to other needed community services, and as the local counsel in Macomb County for the Michigan Children's Trust Fund, Care House offers child abuse prevention and education to professionals who work with children and to the community at large. Families are never charged for any of the services that they receive at Care House, and we are very proud to report that according to our most recent financial audit, 88 cents of every dollar that comes to Care House is specifically devoted towards our services for children and families. Since we opened in 1996, we have conducted over 9,400 forensic interviews, and 445 of those children were residents of Eastpointe. In 2020, we provided 664 forensic interviews serving 27 Eastpointe children. And last year, in 2021, we conducted 727 forensic interviews with 49 of those children residing in Eastpointe. Additionally, we provide ongoing therapy and advocacy services for several Eastpointe children and families every year. We do depend on the support of the community to provide a voice for child victims and a safe place for them to be heard. And we are so grateful for the long-standing support from the city of Eastpointe. This year, we respectfully request funding in the amount of $15,000 that would support services for 25 qualifying children and their families that were residing in Eastpointe. But of course, we would be very grateful for any amount that you could give us. For more information about Care House, we invite you to visit our website at www.mccarehouse.org. Follow us on our Facebook page. And with the statistics, our 21 statistics that I shared with you, if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call at 586-463-0123. We'd also love to have you come by for a tour sometime. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions? Seeing none, thank you so much for the information and presentation.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to come up?
Good evening. My name is Stacy Conti, and I am the Community Outreach Coordinator at Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers. With the number of older adults in Macomb County rapidly increasing, the need for support services due to frailties of age, chronic health conditions, or disabilities is growing dramatically and will continue to do so well into the future. For 29 years, our organization has been providing free basic assistance to hundreds of frail, older, and physically challenged adults, helping them remain safely in their home with the help of over 200 volunteers. Such assistance has been helping older and disabled adults with transportation, chores, respite breaks, errands, and loneliness. These opportunities provide fulfilling experiences for those who wish to volunteer, as well as support for those in need. The Cdbg Safe at Home project of IVC is part of our larger chore and repair program for older and disabled adults. This project was developed to provide additional chore and repair services in communities that allocate funding for this purpose. The project allows us to assist low to moderate income seniors and physically challenged adults with indoor and outdoor chores, minor home repairs, and routine housekeeping. We identify individuals who cannot do these tasks on their own and with limited resources, and prioritize those with the greatest need. We are requesting the Cdbg funds to increase the number of low-income citizens we can reach to grow our program, as well as coordinate the volunteers who do these services. In 2021, even during the pandemic, we were able to serve almost 450 clients with almost 150 being served through the Safe at Home program. With this funding year half over, we have already more than doubled the amount of tasks completed in Eastpointe compared to the previous year, and we are confident it is due to the Cdbg funding. We are requesting the same amount of funding this upcoming year as we originally requested last year, so we can maintain a pattern of increasing the number of tasks completed. Our office neighbors Eastpointe. We're in Roseville, but we're right on 10 and Kelly, so it would really make our whole organization happy to see frailer, older, and physically challenged adults be able to receive assistance in our neighbors in Eastpointe through this project. The appreciation for the assistance is heartwarming from seniors, such as a woman who we helped to install a new toilet who did not have one that worked, and another senior who we helped declutter her home and take donations to the Salvation Army and St. Vincent de Paul. Other examples of help through this project may be replacing locks, washing windows, and installing smoke alarms. With the Cdbg funding, this project can grow and assistance can be granted to a variety of lower-income Eastpointe senior citizens and disabled adults. Thank you so much for your consideration. Any dollar amount granted is greatly appreciated in our program, and we thank you for your funds you granted to us last year as we hope to continue to partner with you going forward. If you know of any seniors who might utilize our services and need some assistance, you can visit our website at www.ivcinfo.org or call our office at 586-757-5551. And I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions, council?
Thank you.
Ma'am, can you do me a favor and send me an email? I had a senior email me today. She just started dialysis and she is cold in her house, so I don't know what's going on in there.
Yeah.
She's freezing, so if you guys can assist her, can you email me when you get a chance?
Is your email available on the city's website?
Yes,
Okay,
and then I'll just send you her information.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Heather Vandenberg, and I'm the shelter manager at McCrest in Macomb County. First, we'd like to thank you for your support into 2021 in the amount of $3,224 that helped fund our guests' stay in our shelter. For those that don't know, we are an emergency shelter. Generally, we operate through various churches in Macomb County, so we rotate on a week-to-week basis. We serve approximately 60 men, women, and children at any given time. Last year, due to the pandemic and just increased need in general, we served over 500 people, and we're expecting to serve at least that many again this year. We have expanded our program during the winter months to help those in need because there is an increased need at this point. Currently, we are serving approximately 200 individuals. That includes men, women, and children in our program. And the need greatly outweighs our services, to be honest. So for 2022, we are requesting $5,355 to cover additional shelter costs for our guests. We continue to work with many of the churches in the city of Eastpointe, and we appreciate the support of your city going forward.
Any questions for anyone?
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
and
you.
I guess I should mention, if anybody knows anybody experiencing homelessness, our phone number is 586-415-5101, and there is an after-hours number on our voicemail if it's after hours and somebody needs assistance.
Okay, thank you for your work in the community. Everyone, thank you so much. Please, good evening.
Guess I might be the last one. So, Karen Bates-Gager, I'm representing Turning Point tonight. First, I'd like to say thank you for your past support. We've been partnering together for a number of years in a variety of different ways, and so thank you very much for that partnership and support. Last year, we did serve a fair number of Eastpointe residents. I have counseling, sexual assault numbers, and bed nights. Counseling, we did see 23 residents through from Eastpointe for a total of 229 hours. We did 15 sexual assault cases from Eastpointe residents, and we had 6 individuals in our emergency shelter that actually were there for 100 bed nights combined, which would have cost about $7,500 to house them. Our request is for $6,500 this year, kind of ballparking on what we think we might need. Turning Point has been around since 1980. We serve survivors of domestic and sexual violence. We do that through a variety of different ways, one of which is our emergency shelter. Another is our emergency hotline number. That hotline takes about 1,000 calls a month, anywhere between 11 and 12,000 calls every year. The pandemic has actually caused that to be a much higher number. I don't actually have last year's numbers, but we know that the pandemic has made a huge impact on domestic violence. We also do counseling in a variety of locations. We are in our main office in Mount Clemens. We have a satellite office in St. Clair Shores, and then we operate out of a couple of churches as well to make it easier for survivors and victims to be able to get the services that they need. We operate the sexual assault. We do all the sexual assault cases for Macomb and St. Clair County. That is typically about 450 cases a year in Macomb County. We do prevention education. We're in the schools teaching our young people what to look for with dating violence, sexual assault, and domestic violence, how to be an active bystander, what to do if they're in trouble or if a friend's in trouble, and how to get help. We also have a housing program, which is relatively new to us. We started that last year. So now survivors leaving our shelter, one of the biggest barriers we found was housing. I'm sorry, my mask does not want to stay up. We found one of the biggest barriers was for them when they were leaving the shelter about where they could go. Many of them often returned to their abuser, were living in their cars, were sleeping on people's couches. So we have instituted a housing program now where they can get help with housing for up to 2 years to get them back on their feet. And let's see, what else do? We do a whole variety of things, but the one thing I'd like to get out there is actually that crisis line number, because that is paramount. That's how everything kind of happens from there. And that number is 586-463-6990. All of our services are free. We don't charge anybody for anything that we do. And so, again, very grateful for your support and would be very grateful for any support going forward. And I will also entertain questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions? You don't have any? Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
And the work you do in the community. Thank you all for the work you do in the community. Also, I know we have the competitive bricks and mortar projects on here. Ms. Holman, are we done with all the charities and things like that coming up? I think you want to come up and speak on the competitive bricks and mortar projects that you have from our economic developer who has done a phenomenal job since she started working here. Ms. Holman, can you tell us your thoughts on this plan?
So the Macomb County has the competitive projects. They're allowing communities to submit projects up to $150,000. They're allowing 2 projects per community, although recent conversations with the county, they've indicated that with the applications they're receiving, they don't think there will be a second round there won't be funds to award a second round. They are, of course, looking for projects where there will be some matching funds, other projects, things like that. Originally, we had put in 3 projects administration had. One would be putting money towards a downtown marketplace that's currently, we were awarded a grant with the Architectural Institute of America, where we have free architectural services. So we have these experts that are looking at plans for a marketplace in the city parking lot behind the library. Because of the fact that that is still in progress and will take a number of months, the county has suggested that we put this project on hold and submit it next year for Cdbg. It is something that would absolutely be eligible, but they are, because of the fact that there's all this planning going on still. We did also submit a project about an outdoor fitness park. It's something that had been discussed in the past. One of our consultants has actually done this in another community. The idea would be to have an open area that would be covered. We've also seen it where there are sort of fitness stations along the pathways. Again, this would have to be in a CDB eligible park. The suggestion from the county was to ensure it was in a smaller park because of the fact that then most of the users would be walking from their community and that would be CDB eligible, so the majority of users, as opposed to one of our bigger parks where we have a lot of people that drive in to use the parks. Another project that also was appreciated by the county We've talked a number of times now about solar residential streetlights to increase the lighting on the residential streets. One of the things that the county informed us is that the Cdbg funds that are related to COVID the restrictions are being lessened, and that while it used to focus on rental assistance and business assistance, that the crime prevention is now very important. There has been a noted increase in crime with the onset of COVID. The county is informed us that there's most likely there will be funds opening up within the within the next few months. They did ask us how shovel-ready this project could be, as the funding time would be relatively short, but this is absolutely something that would be eligible and most likely at the top of the list in terms of crime prevention. So those were some of the ones that we have submitted to council. Of course, it's up to council to let us know anything else that they would like to consider. Again, something within a CDB eligible block and tract.
Okay, thank you. Council, any questions for economic developer? Ms. Holman?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
So yeah, we don't know, because we're not making a decision tonight, I would maybe like to see some ideas that we could maybe draw from our Parks Recreation Master Plan, because I love the idea of the solar residential streetlights, but as just another suggestion, a couple of years ago, they did do a master plan, and there's a lot of suggestions in there that all of, our council voted on at that time to approve. So, I think pulling some ideas from there might give us some more options.
Okay, the deadline, everything has to be into the county by the 24th of February of this month. So if that's absolutely the direction that you would choose and direct us to go, then we would refer to that and make the plans accordingly and submit an application.
Yeah, I would love to see some upgrades to Rain Park, which you mentioned the smaller park idea. And I know that there are some suggestions in the master plan in regards to Rain Park that the Parks Commission had discussed and that we approved. So I think that would be an ideal spot over there, would be Rain Park. The fitness equipment, it's not that it's a terrible idea. We do have access to one through Rare. I know it's located in Roseville, but it's only about a half a mile outside of Eastpointe. And I'm not really sure what park we'd put that in if we were trying to do it in a small park. Rain Park would not be big enough for that kind of project.
Okay, when we go to the motion, then go accordingly.
Any other suggestions? That's just one.
I was gonna say I think most of our discussion should be during new business A on this more
The way this
public
is written.
hearing
Yeah.
but I'd be happy to discuss it. I think we should, I guess any specific questions for what she said, I guess be appropriate now, but then most of
Yeah.
the discussion should be in A.
Well, she's up there. Anybody want to ask her questions or have any concerns? No? Well, I like the idea. This is, what's the name of this park behind us? Rain Park, right? And they couldn't go there, you said, Council? It could go there, yeah.
It's eligible, absolutely.
Because it's in the downtown areas, the neighborhood, and then the city employees can have somewhere to go if they want to work out in between lunch or whatever. I think that's a good location.
And that's a great walkable neighborhood. It is also relatively close to some of the senior housing that would be, just around the corner.
Yeah.
For people to get out. Of course, the high school's not that far away. Absolutely. And that park doesn't have anything at this point.
Okay, that's a good idea. I think, in addition to that, I think council will come with other questions later on if they have some. Okay, thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Holman. Okay, thank you, everyone. I guess the scheduled hearings for today, do we go ahead and talk about who we're going to allocate the funds at this point?
That'd be a new business A also.
New business. Okay, thank you, sir. So the scheduled hearings for right now for the public hearing, did anyone have any questions on this? Any of the public? Questions, concerns? Okay. The scheduled hearing for the public is now closed. We're going straight into unfinished business. Item A. The introduction and first reading ordinance number 22-1217, an ordinance amendment to Chapter 2, Administration, Article 5, Boards and Commissions, Division 5, Parks and Recreation, Commission of the Ordinances of the City of Eastpointe. Council?
Madam Mayor, a motion we have the first reading on said ordinance.
Support.
Motion and support, no discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Actually, Madam Mayor, I
Yes,
had
sir.
one question, if I could, more on what happens after, if this is approved. We're planning to make nice signs at each park then, that'll have all of these listed, and they'll all match, and I think I see a thumbs up, maybe, is that what I just saw from Mr. Paolucci back there? All right, sounds good.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. I believe we did the roll call for that. I think that intervention just we did the roll call for that. Okay, that intervention kind of threw me off, I'm sorry. Reports from administration, going straight to the city manager. Ms. Walton, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So our first announcement, we are now doing a pilot of a newsletter. We have mentioned a lot of it to council, and now this is the first time now that we've submitted everything to CNG. On February 9th will be our first pilot edition of providing a lot of information to all homes in Eastpointe from all of the departments. So a lot of the department heads have supplied information and things that are relative to the city in the next couple of months. We think that we will be able to reach more people in the community with a direct newsletter versus, kind of leaning on social media for that. I do want to highlight our public information officer, Rachel. She has come on board and really hit the ground running. She's worked really hard. Just kind of behind the scenes, we had one meeting and brought this up as a way to kind of kick off more engagement with the community. And again, she hit the ground running, started scheduling meetings and pushing this thing forward. So we really, really appreciate all of her efforts. So thank you, Rachel. I know she's back in our AV room again, working hard, but we really, really appreciate her coming on board and really keeping it moving. We had a retirement over at the fire department, Battalion Chief Walsh. He served the community for over 20 years. So we just want to highlight him and thank him for his service and wish him well in his retirement. Mike and I, he handles a lot of HR in the community or in the city, attended the Michigan Municipal Executives Conference last week, which highlighted a lot of personnel things that are happening in municipalities, municipal finance, and then along with a lot of diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts that we're hoping, we can chat more about and bring to the city. And then lastly, it's Councilmember Rob Baker's birthday this week, February 3rd. So everyone wish Councilmember Baker a happy birthday. And with that, I'll take any extra questions.
Any questions for our city manager at this time?
Sure, Madam Mayor.
Okay, sir.
Could we get an update on the Cdbg CV project? That was not the one that's on the agenda today, but the one that we've discussed previously about the tennis courts.
Yes. Ms. Holman, do you want to add additional info? Thank you.
So we had submitted an application for up to $175,000 worth of funding to create a green space, an enhanced green space. It's a city-owned property just off of Stevens, or actually addressed on Stevens. We were looking at the south end. The north end holds the military museum. Unfortunately, there are sparse records and then apparently no records, but there's some information from a report that was done for the DEQ at the state. It's now known as EAGLE, back in 2012, where there is an underground storage tank at the military museum. We are under the impression that it was a fuel oil tank. However, HUD is very, very strict on their environmental requirements, and they're getting stricter through time. Due to the fact that we could not confirm nor deny that there is any record of that storage tank, with the time we are unable to move forward with that grant. We've asked AEW to check into the cost of doing a phase 2 that would tell us, give us an idea of what that cost would be to do the testing that would be required to see what is or is not on that property. We worked with some state officials at what is now EAGLE They don't have any records. They had clear records on other properties within the city, but they did not have anything on this. And we reached out to a couple other resources. So unfortunately, we are not able to move ahead with that project.
Thanks, Ms. Holman. And then, Madam Mayor, I had one more item. Could we just follow up about the rental inspection program being on the site? I know, a few things in our transition to the new site, got moved around and things like that. And then just, I know she's followed up with us about code enforcement, but just maybe take a look at that again.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I want to again thank Ms. Rochelle for the work she has done. She has done a lot of work since she's been working for the city of Eastpointe. And also on our website, Ms. Walton, now these charities and things like that offer these services, is there an area, I don't know if we have it already, that, people can get these resources? Because I don't think sometimes people know about Interfaith and things like that that's available to them.
That is a portion of our website that we are working on expanding, is including a community resource section on the website. So that will be there.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions, concerns? Okay, thank you again. Moving right along to our Finance Director, Mr. Blum. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. Finance has been busy working on meeting all of the federal deadlines for W-2s and 1099s, and we have met those, and that's about all we've been doing the past couple weeks. So nothing else to report unless you have any questions.
Council, any questions for our Finance Director? Seeing none, moving right along to our City Attorney, Mr. Albright. Good evening again.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. A couple of items to discuss with the council this evening, the first of which is the proposed resolution for precautionary measures. At the last city council meeting, there was a discussion about the preparation of such a resolution. I've gone ahead and prepared a proposed resolution. The intent wasn't to actually have it passed tonight unless the council wished to do that. It was more of a direction if there was additional language that the council wanted to include in this, or whether the language as proposed is satisfactory to the council, and then we could actually have it read at either this meeting or a future meeting. So if there's anything in there that the council wishes to delete or add, I'm happy to do so. I'm also happy to read the proposed resolution this evening. Otherwise, I'm happy to receive any input.
Any questions at this time concerning the resolution? I think we're going to give everybody enough time to read it. And we have questions and concerns, we'll probably talk about it in the upcoming meeting. Agreed upon, council? Moving right along. Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Albright.
Thank you. The next item I had is the city's medical marijuana license ordinance contains a provision for the appointment of a hearing officer. So far, the city has not appointed that hearing officer. I'm recommending that Linda McGrail, who has served as the dangerous building hearing officer for quite some time, be appointed. I'm in receipt of her resume and also all of her qualifications and her willingness to serve. What I can do is I can bring that before the next council meeting and also circulate her resume, and then the council can formally approve her appointment as the city's hearing officer. We're not under any time constraints right now, but I would recommend that council take action at the next meeting on that item.
Okay.
And next item, Madam Mayor, members of council, is the Bird Scooter contract. I have been in contact with the representative from Bird Scooter, and he did provide me with additional contractual language that I will ask city administration to add to the next agenda for council's consideration. And tomorrow, the Medical Marijuana Committee will be meeting for its fourth time. That meeting is at 1:30 here in the council chambers, and that meeting will again be to review the remaining applications for completion. And you are in receipt of my monthly status report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for our city attorney at this time?
And I apologize, hopefully that was loud enough for everyone watching at home.
We're going to go right into new business. the allocation of the 2022 Community Development Block Grant Public Service Funds and authorization of city administration to submit 2 2022 Cdbg competitive grant applications to Macomb County Council.
Sure, Madam Mayor, so I have, as I have in years past, made a blank little template to help us do some math for the funds. There's nothing on here yet. We'll be, no secret info. We're just, helps us do the math for the 5 charities to give out the, what do we have, $23,600 if we choose to. Did anyone want to start?
Yes, I can start. I believe when Turning Point came up, she said that they were requesting 6,500. I know it said it was 8,000, so I wasn't sure if that was accurate.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can double, let's see, it says 8250 in the.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that's what that's what I have here. Okay.
Yeah, when she changed it up here to 6,500, I was just gonna put that 100 and add it to Maggie's Wigs for Kids, because they asked for 1,000, we were gonna give them 800, but with that difference from what you asked for going to them, it brings it up to 900. I was just gonna leave it how it was, how we awarded it last year, and then just add the $100 to the Wigs for Kids to make it more easier, but,
Madam Mayor, if I may.
yes,
So
ma'am.
the city is receiving, it's been allocated $38,400, of which $14,800 is being set aside for the Macomb Community Action Chore. So we have $23,600 to be allocated. I apologize, in your packet, the lines in the chart did not, in the table did not appear. I was trying to make a column there where you could insert the 2002 award. So the total amount being requested by the 5 entities is $31,825. So unfortunately, we're $8,000 over what we actually have available to allocate.
Yeah, it seemed like you all allocated it for us to help us out. That's what I was gonna say, but that $100 difference from Turning Point added to Maggie's Wigs for Kids of Michigan to make that a total of $900 instead of 800. But council, go ahead with your ideas.
Well, just one point, I think the math must be wrong in the agenda packet, because I think I used an Excel formula. It's 31,785, but, or 85, 10.
So I
No,
have
I'm
it
missing-
like 34%
Oh,
difference.
no, I'm missing $20. There's a 2, yep. No, I have a typo.
Okay.
Yep, 2220 for Interfaith. And then I think this, it's still $20 off. Well, if you guys give me numbers, I can just plug them into Excel now.
Mr. Baker, did you figure it out? Well, what I'm saying is I think it's about 33%. We're about 33% over. So what if we just subtracted 33% from each one of the people who requested money?
Sure. Yeah, I think I was trying to do that. 70,
So like 10,000 for Care House.
yeah. Well, one question, so I think for Maggie's Wigs for Kids, since that one was, well, there were 2 notes. The one, they try to do 1,000 per child, and then Care House asks in $600 increments. Should I try to just plug in 1,000 and then do a % for the other ones? Or did we still want to go with just like 70?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So yes.
You want me to, I'll do that, I
Yeah,
guess?
yeah.
Okay, so, let's see, so 73, or, let's see. Well, if I do 73%, we're 112, we've got $112 left.
Yeah, so like for Care House, how much would that be? I mean, I have 9,600.
I've got 10,950.
But that wouldn't be in increments of 600 then.
Right, yeah, so if we adjust that.
9,600 would be increments of 600. That's what I figured. That'd be the closest to the,
Okay. You said 9,600?
mm-hmm.
Then we've got 1,400 left. I've got 16.20 and 60 cents.
Okay.
For IVC, 38.94.55 for McRest, 60.22.50 for Turning Point.
And then 1,000 for Wigs for Kids?
Yeah, and 1,000 for Wigs for Kids, and that leaves, we still have 14.62 left and 35 cents.
I mean, that's fine. You just add it on to one of them.
Sure. Someone want to pick one?
When you all done conversating between you two, are you gonna ask other council members what you wanna do?
No,
So
that's
what are
fine.
your other thoughts?
Well, no, I'm just, just to make it, I was just thinking that to make it fair, if we did, you know, whatever percentage we could of the ones that applied here today.
Make it
I don't know
closer.
how everyone else feels.
You said how much did you have left over? Was it 14?
Yeah, so I did 73% of their request for the four, except for Maggie's, 1,000 for Maggie's, and then, it leaves us $1,462.35 left.
1,462. 35 cents. I mean, I don't know what anybody else thinks, but do you think that at least that 1,000 out of that 1,400 could go to Wigs for Kids, and then, because they said according to this, it's 1,000 per wig.
Yeah.
So maybe that can help somebody else give 1,000 to Wigs for Kids, and then the remainder can go to someone who doesn't have a specific increment that they need, so.
Well, my concern is I don't want to give them more than they applied for. So like, we're already
yeah.
allocating 1,000 for them, but we could add more onto, you know, McCrest and Turning Point. We could increase
Okay, I
those
got
up a little bit.
I got you, yeah.
Or even the Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers, because they only requested like 2,200. You know, we could split it up, kind of add to them if everyone agrees to that.
I can try a higher number again.
Well, the reason they always ask $1,000 every year, Councilman, so.
No, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's all,
That makes
yeah,
sense.
that's all they ask, and sometimes they don't use it, so that's why they only ask for 1,000. But we can put the rest of the money in, McCrest and Turning Point is, you know, somewhat give people housing, so, you know, how much are we giving them both, that you guys have on your form right there?
Cardi's plugging in numbers here.
Okay.
Well, so I forgot, we did 9,600 for Care House since it was the $600 increments, so
And we could up it to, what would it be, 10,200? That would be closer to your 73%, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, let me try that again here.
Care House, McCrest and Turning Point.
All right. Okay, so, yeah, what were you saying for Care House again, sorry? Yeah,
Wouldn't
like
it, wouldn't 10,200 be?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I can do 10,800, actually, and then that leaves $262.
Okay.
Right, so is that increments of 600?
How much are we giving McCrest?
Yeah.
How much is McCrest? giving?
McRest has 38.94. Put the rest there.
Yeah,
Sure.
maybe we put the rest there in McCrest. What do you guys think? You all think?
Yeah, I'm fine
Sure.
with that.
That's fine.
Okay,
That's fine.
sounds good?
Mm.
Okay.
All right,
So
so,
you want to call out the numbers, Councilman DeMonico?
yeah, does Mr. Blum want to double check my math here?
Yeah.
All right, why don't we read it off what we got?
All right, so I've got, here, I'm gonna write it down too. 10,800 for Care House. 16.20 and 60 cents for IVC. 1,000 for Maggie's. 41.56.90 for McRest. 60.22.50 for Turning Point. And we'll put our finance director on the spot here. I'll add the one. hopefully it's right, because I think I have an Excel formula here, so hopefully.
Okay. All right, we read them off.
All right, Mr. Blum said that math checks out, so it's 23,600 altogether.
Of course it's gonna work out. You've got the calculator.
Well, I'll motion we make those allocations for the CDBG. Let me get the wording here. Let's see. Here, I'll start over for the motion. I'll motion we allocate the $23,600 in public service funds as we just mentioned, and $10,800 for Care House, $16.20 and 60 cents for Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers, $1,000 for Maggie's Wigs for Kids of Michigan, $4,156.90 for McRest, and $6,022.50 for Turning Point.
Support.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Good job, council. Next, we're gonna be talking about the recommendations for the projects that Ms. Holman, talked about earlier. Council?
I'm
Any
sorry, what?
discussion? We're gonna be talking about the projects Ms. Holman talked about earlier for the, $150,000.
Oh, okay.
You have any comments on that or ideas at this time?
Sure, Madam Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll add on. I think, basically, agreed with what Councilwoman Lucido said earlier. I think I'd like to see some of the projects out of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan completed. And I think Rain Parks may be a good idea, since it is more of a like pocket park as opposed to a bigger park, as Ms. Holman was saying. I know we have a few things in there, or I think Kennedy Park is also, and there were a few things in that plan also that could be done. I guess one question before I keep going, we could do a project that spans two parks, right? As long as they're both in CDBG, or no?
I think for some reason, I didn't bring my materials, I think that we have to keep it within a specific address.
Okay.
Any-
So, yeah, I think a few things from the plan are like, we've got plenty of trees we've wanted to add at a bunch of the parks, benches, walking path at Rain Park, or we're gonna do like a service drive to the pavilion at Kennedy, rain gardens. Those were some of the ideas. Or I even was wondering, since we are early on in the project, and this is, I know we've somewhat discussed this for the CDBG CV money, the basketball courts. I know that was, because it was the COVID money, it was maybe off limits. But I've seen that other cities have used CDBG money for basketball courts, and we're early on in that process. So maybe since we have already discussed it and put money aside, we could use the grant money for that then. Two.
Now, remember, the county does want us to focus on the smaller parks, not the larger ones where people will be driving to them and parking, because it's, again, the focus has to be on the CDB eligible tracks and blocks. So I like the idea of Rain Park. Again, the equipment, the walking path, things like that are going to be eligible. We could, suggest that. Not sure how they would feel about basketball court. I think the bigger concern is the fact that it's the larger parks have less, are not going to be as CDB eligible. There's going to have to be quite an argument to ensure that the users are going to be those that are coming from the CDBG eligible blocks.
So,
Madam Mayor, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So one of the other things, kind of going off what Councilman DeMonico said, I know there was a lot of upgrades to some of our parks at Kennedy and including in Rain Park. It's just making them more wheelchair accessible. So if there was a way like to do multiple parks, like you talked about the path, like from the parking lot right now to the pavilions, there's not really like a very accessible spot for handicap and things like that. I mean, that too would be something that I would definitely be interested in, making our parks more accessible for everybody to use, especially the elderly and the handicapped. So, I don't know if, I know you mentioned we can't do it at a big park, but I feel like if it's something that's really servicing the community like that, that would be, I think something that's a necessity, so.
That is absolutely eligible. So anything helping with disabled, with seniors, ADA, absolutely is something that is going to be eligible, because those are some of the protected groups.
Yeah, and a lot of that is in our parks, recreation master plan, so.
Anyone else want to speak, or sounds like we got an idea? Pretty much agree upon what you're talking about, so, right?
Should we make a motion that's general today, bring it back for our next meeting then, and then vote on like a final application?
Because I think they got, you said they only got a couple of weeks, right? So,
We could vote at our next meeting, correct? So like if you did two proposals, maybe one for Rain Park ideas and then one for the handicap accessibility at Kennedy Park, and maybe kind of wrote something small up and had us vote on it next week, choose one? Would that work for council?
Yeah, I think so.
you find the okay, I just want to know that he can find that information out. Okay. You said you couldn't make Rain Park handicap accessible, it's too small.
No, absolutely you can.
Can you do all in one? I mean, you already got the equipment, and you already did the work, so.
Rain Park has nothing right now, so I think it would be a combination of the play equipment, picnic tables, and the accessibility. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can do all in one, because she already started on the Rain Park, just add the disability equipment and things like that, and handicap. That shouldn't, which one would be easier? Because we're still talking about the same idea, it's just at a different, doing it at one park.
Well, I think what some members are talking about is doing bulk
Two
of the work at
parks.
Rain Park, but then making sure that there's additional funds for the accessibility at one of the bigger parks.
Yeah, I was saying that, as a second suggestion, besides the Rain Park upgrades, is moving to Kennedy to make it more handicap accessible. So that's, I don't think we'd have enough to do both, but just as another suggestion is that I was thinking of.
Yeah, so I'm thinking we do Rain Park, I know they have equipment for handicap and things like that want to work out as well. So if we do a workout area in Rain Park, they should have a handicap accessible workout, equipment, correct, or no?
I think we're talking more about similar to what was done at Getz Park or Roxana, correct? You're looking for play equipment,
Yeah, that's what she's,
play
yeah.
equipment, tables, walking or path,
Right.
Okay,
things
I
like
was
that,
trying to do,
within the accessibility
yeah.
at the intersections, correct? And then as it relates to the accessibility at the other courts, it's definitely something we can double check with the county. If we have actual specific locations, I believe that we could maybe even split it between two of the parks, because again, that's a use that is. And then third would be, my suggestion would be, we put in, in third in the list, something else, such as if you wanted to do the streetlights, we might as well apply, you never know.
Yeah.
We ended up having to give, basically give up the money for the green space at Shakespeare, so let's not leave anything open, and if nothing else, we'll be lined up for if there's any CV funds that come back.
I've got one quick question on the streetlights. Maybe Mr. Blum knows roughly how much money do we have from the street lighting assessment for capital left to still spend?
Yeah, we've actually got 120,000 built into the street lighting special assessment for additional lighting. So the idea is that we would use some of the Cdbg money for part of it, and then the street lighting for the rest of it.
You think we'll have at least 120,000?
Well, the 120 was devised by DTE, said it would be 2,000 per light to put in, but that was the putting a pole in, putting the standard light in. The solar ones are gonna be a little more expensive. So, we would need more than 120,000 to get 60 lights put in.
Okay.
And, excuse me, the original plan was to start in the southwest corner of the city, and only half of that section is CDBG eligible anyways.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. So 2 parks, you're gonna overlook that to work on 2 parks and possible, what do you all think about the solar?
I mean, the solar lights, I mean, just the idea of putting more streetlights in, I know is a huge priority in the city. So, I mean, I'm definitely supportive of that.
Okay, I am too, council.
Same.
Okay, so what do you all think before we move on, so? Councilman Curley, what you think about the solar panels?
Hit
What do
your,
you think
mic.
about the, okay, you're fine on that, okay. Councilman DeMonico? Your ideas?
Yeah, I like the Rain Park ideas and first, and then maybe streetlights second.
Okay,
What about the accessibility? I thought it would be Rain Park and then accessibility at some of the other parks, and then
Oh, okay.
keeping the streetlights in our back pocket should something happen with the accessibility.
yeah,
Is that,
that sounds,
Sure.
Sounds good.
sounds
good.
good.
1, 2, and 3.
Let's- Yeah,
okay.
okay, y'all wanna make that motion?
Sure. I'll motion that we, city administration start to put potential applications together in priority order of Rain Park improvements from the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, secondary, the second priority plan, additional, were we talking Kennedy Park?
Yeah.
Then were you saying for the set
Kennedy
item
Park.
2? So then
Right.
Kennedy Park improvements is from the Parks and Recreation Master Plan for priority 2, and then priority 3, solar streetlights.
Support.
Motion and support, call the roll.
I got one question. I just want to be sure. Would that be, now, you said Kennedy Park for the second priority, would that be just the handicap? That's where we were talking about handicap accessibility. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Or, I just want to be sure.
Yeah, it was the
Okay.
handicap accessibility, because like, right now, there's no like parking close to pavilions or anything,
right.
you know? So we talked about just paving a path back there and putting some spots that are like just temporary drop-off spots for people to drop people off that are using the pavilions.
All right. I just want to make sure I understood it correctly before I vote, so, okay.
Sure, yeah, and Councilman Baker, from the Recreation Master Plan, there's some other things like benches in here, trees, you know, I don't know how far, you know, a dollar will go off the top of our heads here. Like a service drive, I think, kind of like what, that's what you're talking about, from the parking lot to the pavilion. Not very easy to get there right now. Couple other things on here.
Yeah,
So those items, yeah.
Got it. Thanks.
okay, I think I had a motion and support, right? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes,
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Next item is the bid award for 9 Mile Road water main replacement, west city limits to Gratiot Avenue.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to award the 9 Mile Road Water Main Replacement Project from West City Limits to Gratiot Avenue to the low bidder, CMP Construction Corporation of Shelby Township, in the amount of $1,849,328.95, plus a 10% or $184,932.90 contingency for an estimated construction cost of $2,034,261.85.
Support.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes,
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Next item is the approval of purchase for fire department forcible entry training door prop. Council.
yes, Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the purchase of one forcible entry training door prop for PBE Enterprises Incorporation in the amount of $8,422.77.
Support.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes,
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Next item is the approval of conditional rezoning for Stevens Road, the Storage Center.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I would move, oh boy, I would move to adopt the conditional rezoning map amendment for Stevens Road Storage Center, 16410 Stevens, number 02-14-30-426-006, with a legal description of Assessor's Plat number 5, lot number 38, and 39, and 46, except that part of the lot 46 as BEG at S southwest corner, lot 46, number 011 east, 92.90 feet, south 88, 34, 12 east, 90.18 feet, south 17 feet, 52 inches west, and 93.16 feet, north 88, 23 feet, 56 inches, west 90 feet to POB.
Support.
Motion and support. Before you spoke that, I was interrupted because I was going to ask anyone that had some discussion on it. Any discussion, anyone on that?
Yeah.
He was so eager to read that whole thing. I thank you for reading that for me. I appreciate
Did
that.
Councilman Harvey even, if somebody's out there in the audience in charge, forgive me, but y'all know what I'm talking about.
Like, you know what I'm talking
And
about.
it's a good program, a good people that are doing it, so.
Yeah, let's conversate
Amen.
on that, so we can hear what
She's
Councilman
got a
has to say.
question.
I just
yes,
have one,
ma'am.
I just have one comment. So I do know a couple of the residents that live over in this area, and I know that there's been some, hesitation about this plan for, on Facebook, but the residents that live actually over in that area, they're excited to have something developed on this property. So with that said, I mean, I'm excited that finally something that's it's been empty, ugly vacant lot for a long time, so I'm happy that we're able to move forward also, so. That's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman DeMonico?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. And yeah, I just wanted to make one statement from Planning Commission. The applicants were there and talked about how they had a meeting with, I think, unfortunately, just a couple of the residents, but the residents were happy that came that it's going to be a less intensive use than it is right now. The consumer's energy staging had very bright lights and was in and out a lot. They will have a much less intensive use for the property. It'll look nicer too, because right now it is just a dirt/concrete-ish lot with a chain link fence around it. And I know, and I think they may have even, said, I mean, a storage unit is not like something exciting, right? Everybody always is like, we don't want those, but I think their place personally, this is just not Planning Commission's opinion or anything, just their place looks very nice. So I think this will definitely be an improvement to that area in the city. Hopefully consumers can still do all the work they need to in our city, because I'm sure there's more more gas mains and such we're going to need to do in the future. But I look forward to this project, so.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
And then,
Councilman?
I just wanted to say too that, I was in earlier in the week talking with administration about this specifically, and I was told that it was making sure that the parcel was zoned properly. And I think too that anything will look better than a mound of dirt and fence and whatever else. And I know that there was some concern about more storage going up, but just like Councilwoman Lucido said, there are some people that are excited about it. And everybody's opinion has to be weighed equally. It can't just be about, well, this person said they were against it, but, we have to weigh it all equally. And if we're concerned about the aesthetic look, I think something is better than nothing, better than a mound of dirt. So that's my opinion too. So that's all I really have to add to that.
Actually,
Yes.
May-
I'm gonna let you go, and then I'm gonna go end it.
I just had one brief comment. I meant to make this actual item on the agenda is just to change. There's a parking zoning to the industrial zoning with a few, what are they called? Special considerations, so that it'll be like light industrial. For some reason, we had the back part of it, and if you see in the agenda, there's a small part of it that, if anyone in the public's wondering, is zoned parking. Even the one residential house there is zoned parking right now, and hopefully that's considered in the future to change that to residential for that one house, but that's all this vote is about specifically.
Yeah, I want to ask Ms. Holman about this property right here. Is there anything else that we can utilize this for other than the storage unit? Because the storage unit that we have on Gratiot, it's nice, it's being used, but the bottom, it's been there for a couple years and we haven't utilized it for businesses or anything like that. So also listening to the residents, and also as a resident and as the mayor, I have a personal, opinion about having another storage unit right there, even though, So is there anything else that we had researched that would go in that area? Because anything contaminated is a brownfield, whatever, and can be used for housing or anything else. So did we research what other ideas we could use for that space before we just gave it a storage unit?
Well, first of all, it is private, so the city has not been
Okay.
involved in this at all. So this
Okay.
is not, to clear that up, this is not a publicly owned piece of property. This is
Okay.
a private transaction. But actually, the attorney and the developer are both here, and they could
Okay.
address that.
Okay.
One thing I will note, that along 9 Mile, in St. Clair Shores, there's another storage unit going up where there used to be a racket club.
Okay.
So there appears to definitely be a need for it, but I think they could address your questions better
Yes,
than
please.
I can.
Welcome to the city of Eastpointe. How are you?
Good, it's good to be back here. My name is Dennis Cowan. I'm an attorney with Plunkett Cooney, and I've worked with Todd Clark, who is the principal owner of the company. And they developed, of course, on the Colonial Dodge site, the current extra space storage,
Okay.
which, by the way, we want to collectively thank you as a city for being so welcoming to the company, and certainly to all the customers, many of whom are Eastpointe residents. So this company is a very small family-run business. We have several stores. They're Michigan-based in the like 5-county area, and they specialize in taking sites that nobody else wants to redevelop. These old auto facilities are one of them. Every site they've ever been involved in has been environmentally contaminated, and nobody has wanted to do anything for years or decades with respect to the property. So that in itself, I think, states that there isn't a lot of interest. This particular site, and I also happen to do a lot of work in the multifamily area, apartments and condominiums. This site, because of the past users, is a pretty bad site in terms of contamination. It would take, according to our environmental expert, well in excess of $2.5 million. And that's just knowing what we know about the property, not knowing when you start to dig into something, it's kind of like going in your kid's room. When you go to clean it up, you never know what you're going to find. It's the same thing with an environmental site, environmentally contaminated. And there would never be the cost benefit to do a residential that's such a high standard that, in fact, because of the situation, we can only do one story. We would have loved to have done another, replica, but it's just not possible. And actually, it works out good because there are a lot of consumers who still like the traditional drive-up site, which is what we'll have here. So I think I can safely say, in talking to our environmental expert from Applied Environmental, who did all the testing on the site, that there's just not a scenario to, in any kind of cost-benefit way, to try to clean that site up to a residential or another standard. So quite frankly, our kind of concept fits perfectly. We cap the contamination with concrete and asphalt. And then we also, part of it in the building, we have to provide a vapor barrier so you don't have the vapors coming up out of the out of the ground. So it actually will work very well to help mitigate any future fumes or anything of that nature from cropping up from the property. So I'm giving you the layman's language on this, not the expert on it, but we're very, very confident that this will be also well received, as was the original site. So again, we thank you for your welcoming the company and letting us, have this second opportunity here and take a site that nobody's wanted to touch and they're willing to take on. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for explaining that. I always want to see what other ways we can, utilize space than a storage space, no offense. That's just me. I live here, so, other people live here, so nobody really wants to be near a storage space that they can make it a park or, housing or anything like that. But since you did the research and said that would be costly, thank you for,
And if I could
I'm
just say
sorry.
one small thing, believe it or not, the studies locally and nationally, I know you see a lot of storage facilities, and there's a reason. This area still hasn't absorbed the national level of self-storage facilities. And it's now being exacerbated by the fact that a lot of people are working at home. Well, think about it. You have to clear out a room or a basement, and you don't have room to put all the stuff. So they have had an increase in business because people have told them, I had to take this stuff all out so I could make my wife an office, or I could have an office, or if two people are working from home, the basement and another location in the home. So you're really getting a lot of that factor now is growing, is contributing to the growth of self-storage. Plus the fact that we just want to share with you, at the Extra Space facility, the first units to all go were the runs at the ground level at the garages, and almost all of them are classic cars. Because people, usually the wife says, okay, you've had this car in the garage long enough. It's going over to storage. So it's really been a great opportunity here for us, and it's still a growing business, and Eastpointe has got tremendous demographics and a lot of good residents and a lot of good customers, so we thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have motion and support. Any more conversation on this? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Next item is adoption of resolution number 22 thank you, sir. Adoption of resolution number 22-1935, performance resolution for municipalities. Council.
Madam Mayor, I'll move we adopt resolution 22-1935 as presented.
Support.
Motion and support. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Item F, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 22-1218. I thought Councilman Curley was gonna read the rest, that's why. So,
Madam Mayor, I would move to introduce and to give first reading to ordinance number 22-1218, a zoning ordinance text amendment to Chapter 50 zoning article 17. No,
Got you.
17.
Got you back.
Thank you. Supplemental regulations, section 50-161, privacy fences.
Thank you, sir.
Support.
Oh, yeah.
Any discussion on that?
Sure, Mayor. One quick comment. I gotta just make one comment going way back to, I think this would be 2012, when I was first appointed to the Zoning Board of Appeals. We had an item where there was, it was my very first vote on the board, that a corner house tried to get an appeal because of this ordinance about the corner houses not being able, in certain circumstances, to get a privacy fence. And I lost 6-1. I voted against it because I thought it was right along with the ordinance, but I was confused as to exactly why it was enacted in the first place, and it seems like we haven't really had a reason, or a good reason, I would say, to keep the ordinance. So I guess long story short, I'm happy to see that we're changing it now. And this is now what, 10 years. It's 2022 now, so 10 years later.
Well, just a quick comment, that it's been a long time coming. There's going to be a lot of people happy when they hear that we've finally relaxed our ordinance.
Yes. Good job, Council. I think we have motion and support. Anything else, Councilman DeMonico?
Nope.
All right, let's go.
Nope.
Do we need a roll? Did we do the roll call on that?
No, we didn't. Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Next item is to confirm special meeting date for goal-setting session. Council?
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to schedule a special meeting for a goal-setting session on February 15th, 2020 at 6 p.m.
2022.
2022, sorry. Second time
All the way
tonight.
back.
We're all going back in time.
Yeah.
Councilman Curley, man.
Support.
Messing us all up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Oh, boy, I
support
won't
that.
live that down.
Motion and support. Call the roll, please.
For clarification, Rob, okay.
It's this year.
2022. Just to be clear.
You're gonna do it this year, yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Next item is discussion on the amendment of the purchasing ordinance. Council, any discussion on this?
So, yeah, I would like to have a little bit of a discussion on this.
Yes, ma'am, you have the floor.
So I knew about probably
Oh, shit.
4 years ago, 5 years ago, it got proposed to us to increase the spending ordinance at that time up to 10,000. I see now that administration is asking it to be increased to 15,000. And after putting a lot of thought and looking into other cities, I do think that we need to consider increasing it. I don't know if we should triple it from where we're at, because right now it's at 5,000. But I think I would definitely be interested in maybe increasing it up to 10. I don't know how the rest of the council feels.
Yeah.
Well,
Council?
Madam Mayor, if I may,
Yes, sir.
this has been debated a long time. You know, each time it came to the council table, no matter who was sitting here, it was still at $5,000. And I think raising it to $15,000 would make the administration's job a heck of a lot easier if they're needing to purchase something. So I would, after the discussion is over, I would support a motion to accept their recommendation.
Yeah, I would agree with Councilman Curley. I've actually had conversation with administration about this and was presented some scenarios where this, to me, made sense. So to allow them to do their job more effectively, and I was even told that with it being at just a $5,000 limit, it actually creates a bigger hurdle for us right now because of how we have to go out for bid for certain things, and then we wind up paying more money than what we would have to. And being that we have to be good stewards of the city's resources, I would support the recommended change.
So, Mayor.
Councilman?
Thanks. Yeah, so I guess a few things. First, before commenting on the amount, I think what Mr. Blum brought forward here, and of course this is some comments from Mr. Cotton when he was our interim city manager. I think there's a lot of great things in here. We've had a lot of discussions as, you know, we've seen the situation where there's multiple $4,900 bills in a row coming to council, and then it's unsure if we're, well, to me, unsure if we're either doing one project or doing it properly or planned ahead or whatnot. So there's a definition for project in here, and we talk about, we've done some of these, the capital improvement project closeout reports, I think is great to see, because sometimes we have a few changes and it's hard to, you know, keep track and go back in 10 agendas and see what happened on a specific project, especially when some of these are couple $1 million projects. That's in here. I really like that, and that we've talked about before. And then, what else was in here? And then the last thing about emergency purchases, just a little bit more, just information so we're all on the same page between council and city administration, that last part about just a summary if we do need to emergency spend more than the limit, which of course happens, you know, that certainly happens from time to time. The change, so yeah, 10,000 was recommended before. We're at 5,000. 10 was recommended before. Now, you know, our finance director is recommending 15,000. Mentions inflation. I think inflation's about 8,000 from 2020 if you're going from $5,000. Quick calculation. So 15 would be much higher. I certainly do not support the 15. I think we need to keep in mind also we've had the discussion recently about like the code enforcement vehicles where we spent like 150 grand, which is well over 5 grand. And well, we shouldn't have, even if it was 15 grand, we shouldn't have made that purchase. So I'd like to see us follow closer to it before we go any higher, I guess, basically. You know, there's been other scenarios, that wasn't the only one. But I could certainly see raising it a little bit, but 15,000 is way too high in my opinion.
Well, part of the discussion that I had too was what, just like Councilwoman Lucido said, is what other communities were doing. And that's something that I took into consideration as well, even with communities smaller than Eastpointe having a bigger budget than what we have. But, I mean, I don't need to spend a lot of time discussing on it. I mean, my opinion is just that it makes it easier for them to do their job. Just even with us having to go out to bid, I think we lose the opportunity to have some local contractors do work for us, which could save us money, but going out to bid, we have to pay the engineering companies to do the specs for us, and then we have to get the bid, so we wind up paying more money for a project than what we have to, with just the limit being where it is currently. So, I mean, like even with work being done at the police department, fire department, things of that nature, $5,000, I mean, you can't even do your bathroom at your home for that. If you can, it's because you know somebody. So for me, I'm comfortable with it. I trust them. I don't feel that I need to micromanage, but that's just my opinion. I'm not accusing anybody of that, but that's just my opinion. But I trust them with this, and I think that's fair. I mean, I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything else, but I'm prepared to vote if somebody makes the motion.
Well, you gotta get a mirror a chance to talk.
Madam,
I was up here for something.
Madam Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilman.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Since we talked about the recommendation for 10 minutes without even a motion on the floor, allow me to make the motion, and we'll see what happens. I would move that we would approve the increase of purchasing authority to $15,000, ordinance to still require informal quotes for all services and purchases under $15,000. And number two, include language that provides up to 3% award threshold for bidders that are local, veterans, or minority owned.
I would support that.
Okay, now the mayor's turn. How about that? I get a turn. I would like to hear, I heard from council, but I want to hear from the directors who actually spend this money. How about that? How about we listen to the people that actually have those challenges and those barriers based upon this amount? Starting with our city manager to see what she has to say. Then we can talk to our director of public safety, all these people that actually deal with this. Let's hear from them today. I appreciate that. Starting with our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a point of clarification, I serve as your purchasing agent. It is separate from finance. So this is not something that Randy had added to the agenda. I know it's not new to the council table, and Mr. Blum has been here and has served as our historian for things that have happened, but I do want to make that clarification that purchasing is separate from the finance department. I support increasing the purchasing authority. One of the difficult things is that, and one of the things I want to clarify is that even with the increase of the purchasing authority, it doesn't mean that $15,000 is just spent. We still get informal bids. We still have conversations. And so if we can contact contractors that are within the community and we can get informal quotes and still see what those services are and what their prices are, we could potentially provide business to local entities within the community versus requiring them to submit bids online. Right now, all of our bidding is done on what was formerly known as Mitten on BidNet. Some of the smaller businesses are not paying for services to be on BidNet or going through the process of completing an entire bid to bid on a small project where the income may be very minimal. So we do give opportunity by increasing the authority and still getting informal quotes to local businesses that do not bid consistently. I don't know if any of the directors actually want to speak on it.
Is it a barrier for that $5,000 director? You can stand there if you, speak out loud, please.
I just want to thank you for even considering this. This has been one of the biggest issues with all the department heads, especially for me when I have two departments with, the budget's $17, $18 million for both, and $5,000 is not going to cut it. We have to, with COVID, just trying to purchase something is impossible. We do a lot of our business with Wayfair. They're not going to invoice us. So what we do is we charge something. The credit card's booked for 3 weeks. We have to wait till it zeroes out before we buy something. So what that does is delay all our projects. It decreases efficiency. So the $15,000 will give us some breathing room. I think I can speak on behalf of all the department heads. We're pretty responsible. We haven't had any issues. We always give money back. We always go for other bids. We just don't go for the first one, but this certainly will move us forward. We had a flood at the police department. That project was delayed 3 months because the credit card was at the limit. So this will help us out. $15,000 would be tremendous. So that's
Thank you,
all I have to say on
Director.
that.
Any,
Can I
you
jump?
want to, go ahead, Councilman?
Well, I guess, so some of these, the flood, I would say, should be under the emergency. I would think a flood in the police department certainly reasonably would be an emergency. And some of the items, sorry if I mean, we've talked about these at council meetings, but I'm not attacking specifically anyone sitting right here, you know, Ms. Walton, sorry, or Mr. Rohib. You know, the code enforcement cars, those contracts were signed by our last city manager. I don't know how, I mean, we've talked that to death at council meetings. But also, yeah, and did want to correct that it wasn't Mr. Blum, that I think I did accidentally say that you put it on the agenda. I think I meant more, we've discussed it in the past with Mr. Cotton and Mr. Blum and at the council table. But yeah, I guess that was it for now.
You sure?
I
think so.
do it.
You know, I love when you talk, go ahead.
All right, so,
Go ahead.
yeah, I think that, like I said, we have had these discussions before, and in the past, we were in different positions where I was a little more hesitant about increasing the purchasing requirement, but at the same time, in 2018 and 2019, it was requested for us to raise it to 10,000, and that was, you know, 3 to 4 years ago. At the inflation rate being only 2%, and they're asking for, you know, 100% increase, you know, 200% increase from what we're at right now. I mean, that just seems like a lot. I think doubling it to 10,000 is definitely necessary, but to triple it, I mean, we could come back and, you know, raise it again next year after we do the 10,000 and see how that goes. You know, we don't have to stay at, you know, the 10,000 forever.
Any more discussion? I don't want to stop. You got motion and support, call the roll, please. Go
wait,
ahead,
then.
Councilman.
If I'd motion then to make an amendment to that, just motion to amend it to, well, I guess, $10,000.
Let's see how this first roll go. What do you think, everybody?
Well, first of all, I would say no, but secondly, I would look at our city manager. I don't think that's a legal amendment, and you're the attorney. I mean, you can say, we want to meet on Tuesdays, let's meet on Wednesdays instead. But if you're saying, I want to make it 15,000 and amendment, I want to make it 10,000, you tell me, is that legal? I'm going to say no anyway, but I'd like to have your opinion.
Councilmember Curley, I believe there is a motion on the floor regarding the 15,000, and it was seconded, so there would be a vote on that particular motion. If it fails, then there could be another motion, but I believe.
Well, no, but a motion to amend, it can happen on top of a main motion. We've never done, I mean, this has been a frustrating thing to me that we've done forever, and I've tried to do it in the past. But you can make a motion to amend the main motion. If that fails, then we still stick with the main motion. So say I motion for 10,000, it does get support or something goes down, we're still with the main motion. If the motion does go through, it just changes the 15 to 10,000 is all it would do.
Well, the motion is already on the floor. So once, if this,
Well, we can,
yeah, let's see how it goes.
we can stop the discussion, because I already said no.
Right. We can vote on that. and then we
Let's, I can see how this is going to go. Let's call the.
It's supposed to
Let's
be
call
a second.
All right, I would
point
call,
of order.
I call for the question.
No, point of order. See, that's not even how that works either, though. We're not, so,
Well, we
if-
asked the
Councilman
attorney-
DeMonico, you know,
Yeah, counsel. Let's call the roll.
well, you don't just call the question and then call the roll. That's not how that works.
Councilmember Curley,
This is ridiculous.
What are
First
we
of all,
voting, what are we voting on?
Right, because I got a question even about that main motion then. We said some things in here where the language isn't even this include language that provides a 3% award threshold.
I'm reading the language that was given to us by the administration, Councilman DeMonico. I don't know what else do you expect to do.
Well, right, so are we asking then the city attorney to create a proposed ordinance change with those guidelines? Or are we, because there's actually a red, there's further down a couple pages here, the actual ordinance with red through it, but that does not include that 3% notification. So I don't know if we're voting as a first reading for that exact thing.
Hey, Councilwoman.
Yeah, so
Oh,
really,
City attorney has his hand.
okay, go ahead, you
Okay,
can say something.
Councilwoman, let me
Okay,
do this. Go
so
ahead.
yeah, that was my question too, because there's no recommended motion here, there's a city manager's recommendation, but there's no recommended motion. And I think where Councilman DeMonico was going with this, is are we just proposing for administration to write up a new ordinance, or are we actually voting on the ordinance? Mr. Albright.
That was my understanding. Back in 2018, there was a motion on the floor to instruct the city attorney to draft language, and that motion failed. And it was my understanding that it would be the council's directive to instruct our office to draft a proposed ordinance change, put it in an ordinance form for consideration at a future meeting. And then if there would be a discussion on that, changing that language in any way, but that was, because there isn't an ordinance amendment before the council in ordinance form for a first reading before the council this evening. So that language hasn't been, the language that's before is language from years ago.
Right, exactly. Okay, that's all I was wondering, because the way it was read, it was like we were voting on this right now, like a first reading, but we're just asking for a new ordinance to be proposed in front of us.
That was
A proposed ordinance written by you that the amount will be raised from $5,000 to $15,000. So if the vote is to the affirmative, with 3 votes to the affirmative, it'll come back from your office, and the next meeting we'll have it on there as a motion to increase the amount from 5 to 10,000.
Right, it's basically taking the city manager's recommendation.
So you're telling me tonight that the administration was an error from the word verbiage that I read for the motion?
No, that was just a recommendation. There is no recommended motion on the summary sheet.
Oh, there isn't?
Just to make a clarification, it is to direct the city attorney, so it's not the actual ordinance, it's directing the city attorney to draft that language, which would then come back to council for a first reading.
I have one question too, just so, because I know there was a lot of confusion as to whose motion was on the floor. I know Councilman Curley made a motion initially. Is he the one that has to amend his own motion, or can someone else amend his motion? Because I want clarity on that, because it was a lot of stuff going back and forth, and I just want to know I want to make sure we proceed correctly, at least for myself, so.
It's my understanding that the maker of the motion would have to amend his motion.
Okay.
But if that motion fails, then somebody could make another motion.
Okay, thank you.
So do you want to make your motion, Councilman? You got to support?
Yeah, I'll make the motion, but just mouth what I'm supposed to say and I'll repeat it. And I can't hear you anyway, so.
The city manager's recommendation on the summary sheet reads as follows, and I believe Councilmember Curley, you had indicated to motion to increase the purchasing authority to $15,000. Ordinance is still require informal quotes for all services and purchases under $15,000. Furthermore, include language that provides up to a 3% award threshold for bidders that are local, veteran, or minority-owned, and instruct the city attorney to draft such a motion. Now, that's a language that wasn't in the original motion, but it was my understanding, because we don't have a proposed.
So can I say
ordinance.
that's the motion I want to make? Is that all right? Or do I have to verbalize it?
No.
If I have to verbalize, come up here and hand it to me so I can read it.
Motion to approve as read by the city.
Okay, does council understand what my motion is?
Yeah, we understood
Yes.
it 5 minutes ago. Go ahead.
And I still
Okay,
support that
Councilmember.
motion.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
No.
Councilmember Lucido.
No.
Okay, moving right along, council. Next, we will go to payroll and bills, council.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll motion to pay the bills in the amount of $2,073,904.31.
Support.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Next is the second hearing of the public. The second hearing of the public is now open. You have additional 3 minutes. If you didn't get to talk in the beginning, please do so now. Yes, sir, Mr. Creech. Let me get my timer together for you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. As I was saying when I was up here before too, there's a lot of things that has to be discussed. And one of them is, as I said before, they're called for X amount of meetings and hearings that these committees are supposed to take. And hopefully now that all the new members in there will take them, because I've never taken them. And I don't know exactly what they're really about. It's a heck of a thing to say. There was a paper sent to me, and in rights, our bylaw says I have to attend it. I mean, I didn't know that until after I got the bylaws, and I just received the bylaws, and I had to ask for those. But as I say, just under one itself, as I say, under your new business, under D and F, your approval of the conditional rezoning, and F, introduction to the first reading of the ordinance, I ask myself indirectly right here, as it says right here, what does it mean? Because what I've got here is it says, the Board of the Zoning Appeals shall, before January 31st of the year, make a written report to the City Council of the work of the ZBA during the preceding year. That's what I even said last year. All the stuff that was supposed to be done isn't being done. I mean, how can we go ahead and you can rezone, you can take the fences off, I'll just read this to us. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to get upset, but I am. And it says right here, the Zoning Board of Appeals, under page 61-105, section 7, the council may by ordinance provide regulations and restrictions governing the height, number of stories, the size of the buildings, and other structures. The percentage of the lot may be occupied, the size of the yards, courts, and the open spaces, and the location of the use of the buildings, structures, and land and trade, to determine vary the application in harmony with the general purposes, intent of the ordinance, general provisions of the ordinance. Anybody on the council would like to reiterate on that?
Let me stop. You know, at the end.
I'm sorry. As I said, it's all in here in black and white.
30 seconds.
Every bit of it is. No matter what question I said before, too. And there's other questions. That's why I say I've got this meeting coming up. And hopefully we can get a lot of respect, because I said the same thing about it. It says from the appointment and the rest of the stuff, 7 months I turned in. It took the council and the mayor appointment 7 months to reinstate me. And the council we only had 5 to begin with.
Yeah,
it was
3
down
minutes.
in
Your
remittance.
3 minutes is up, sir. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Creech. I think I'm smiling because I'm so delighted to see you after all these years, after all what's been going on. So thank you for being here. Anyone else would like to speak this time? Okay. That's a different kind of nut. You know, man, it's like a toy. What's really going on? Yeah, it's my toy gavel.
It sounds pretty hollow.
My gavel needs a speaker. Okay, the hearing of the public is now closed. Thank you, everyone, for attending that part and letting us hear your concerns. Next is the mayor and council report, starting with Councilman DeMonico.
Thanks, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, first, my condolences to the family of Jeannie Trice. It was very unfortunate to hear that she passed away. Yesterday, I had my water meter reader and transmission unit upgraded, so it went very smoothly. So everyone out there, just log into the website they give you. Took like a minute. Just find some date and time that works for you. They came over, like they said, took like exactly like 15 minutes. He walked up to the door with the mask on too, so didn't even have to like ask about that. So that was nice to see. Was very friendly, answered a few questions I asked him, and so they got a lot of those to do. So try and help out on that project. And then I also wanted to mention the Elected Officials Academy with the Michigan Municipal League. It's a free program they do and helps maybe especially Mr. Baker, since you're a little newer. They've got a whole program of just like a lot of things you can learn. They do a whole level thing, you know, like gamify it. You know, it's kind of fun to get all the points, but also learn, and then it helps you do your job at the table here. So check that out on MML's website. And I'm also bringing that up because I'm on the advisory board for it. We just meet like quarterly with the MML to talk about how just the details work of it. And then if anyone wants to keep connected with me or the city, I do cardidemonaco.com. It's got a lot of stuff for the city on there. I try to, write about any of the bigger topics we have. Of course, there's too many to write about all of them, but I try to keep up with the more important ones that everyone brings up, in person, on Facebook, or emailing us or anything like that. And then hope everyone enjoys Valentine's Day, and then we'll be getting right to goal setting the day after. So everyone be ready for that. 6 p.m. again, just before our next city council meeting. We'll be doing goal setting, the whole city council. So that's all I had, Madam Mayor.
Thank you for your council report. Councilman Curley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Last council meeting, we had a bit of a heated discussion about the company that's going to have the search for our city manager suggested that they wanted to have a individual private interview with each of the council people on a separate basis, and I vehemently was opposed to that. And so I'm going to read what I want to see in a city manager. And council members, I'm not reading this to debate you. I appreciate what you want to do, and you can do whatever you want to do, and allow me the same courtesy. So I'm going to read what I was thinking, what I would like to see in a city manager. I may have a couple other things on down the line, but let me publicly read it so you know what I'm looking for, and the public knows what I'm looking for. This person, and I'm going to have to say he or she, so if I fail to do that, forgive me, reaches out to the employees and the citizens for input, becomes involved in our city, treats everyone with respect, does not let one or two council persons dictate what he or she are going to do, does not work by the clock, but what has to be done, has the ability to not only lead the council, but advise. And that person would become involved in the Macomb County Mayor's Association. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Sound like you just hired Ms. Walton when you said all those bullet points. Are you done, Councilman?
I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Baker.
Thank you. Oh, man. No, I just thank everybody for coming out, and to the residents that reach out and let us know what they're thinking. Thank you for that, because we need people to show us that they care. We may not always agree, and sometimes we will, sometimes we won't, but it's good to know that people are paying attention. It's good to know that people care. I would also like to issue my condolences to the family of Jeannie Trice. I was sad to hear about her passing, and I just hope that her family finds comfort during this time of bereavement. And that is all that I have.
Thank you, Councilman. Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to start out also by giving my condolences to the family of Miss Trice. I know she was a really dedicated mother and grandmother to her grandson. You probably, most of the times you've seen her, she had her grandson with her. She will definitely be missed, around the community. So secondly, I would like to start out by saying that if anyone ever has any questions or concerns, like always feel free to either call me, email me. I do my best to try to get back to you as soon as possible. If I don't know the answer, I will definitely usually try to talk with administration to see if I can get an answer for you. I know there has been, sometimes people put on Facebook, well, council isn't doing anything about this or doing anything about that. And it's something that I've never even heard of, the suggestion had never even been made to me or anything. So how can I make, if I don't know if it's something the residents want, how can I make that decision? So definitely, please, always feel free to reach out to me anytime. And that's all I have this evening, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and thank you all, council, for all your statements and things like that. Again, I want to say thank you for everyone, all the charities that came in here, all the directors that are in here, everybody attended the council meeting tonight. I want to say Happy Black History Month again, which started today, yes. And thank all those that in our past that made a way for so many people like myself and so many people to make, just made a way for me and my children and so many other, and everybody else up here. Black History Month is actually paving the way for not just African Americans, but all people of color. And so I just want to thank all those people in the past, also the people in the present, and those future leaders who's going to make history going forward. Also, March 5th, speaking of Black history, I did a book release based on me being the mayor of the city of Eastpointe. I'm happy about that. The book release would be March 5th, 2022 at the Eastpointe Library. So I was happy to know that the Eastpointe Library always supports local residents, and since that's what I am, I was so happy to be a part of, they were very excited. They said, maybe we can get some more patrons in here, Mayor, if you do the book reading. So if you look at the cover of the book, it's me and my two daughters on there. And so as I got into this position, there's a lot of things that I didn't know. It's a lot of stuff that I still don't know, and that's okay. That's the part of learning and living. When I became a mayor, there's a lot of things I was still growing to know, and my daughters asked me the question, Mom, what's a mayor, right? And it was a lot of things that they wanted to learn, and I said, I want to be dedicated to not only teaching my children, but other children of underserved, areas and communities, what a mayor does. And so it's a series of books. It's not just talking about mayor, Mom was a senator, and so on and so forth, to let people know that there are people that look like them in political leadership. And so that'll be March 5th, 2022 at Eastpointe Library. I'll be doing a personal book signing. So come out and join me in support of, what's that, National Reading Month is in March. So back to back, so open it up, and so I'm very happy to do that in the city of Eastpointe, because that's where the history was made. So starting with the city of Eastpointe, I'm very happy and excited. The residents are excited that I'm giving back to the community. Also, I'm also excited that my children won. St. Peter's won tonight, the basketball. So that's 2 in a row. So y'all keep praying for St. Peter's. They do an awesome job. The team is good. The coach is amazing. That school has been here for a long time. That church has been here. So the leadership here in the city of Eastpointe is growing, and they're glad to have my children. I'm glad for us to be there as well. So congratulations to Cameron and Caden. They're back there doing their homework now. So they're awesome children. I'm so proud of them. And they're 13 years old. So y'all pray for me on that. And also, the 8 Mile Association grant has been done with our leaders here, with our economic developer, also Rezoning, and our city manager, as well as a neighboring city of the Mayor Kendall of Harper Woods, also with their economic developer and myself, and also the opinions of the residents as well to make this grant successful. I believe we're going to get it. It was submitted today, so good job on that, so making a timeline. And thank you, council, for those recommendations to adding the residents to that as well. So we got a lot of good things going on in the city of Eastpointe, very positive. We want to try to stay positive, move forward, and show, that Eastpointe is moving along from our past and going to the future. So that being said, one more thing. I was invited, and I believe council probably was invited too, but I know this is going to everybody, also the residents. The Military Museum is having a Black History Month event. I'm gonna read it. Let me read it. She said, our chapter holds an event, and her name is Elizabeth Benaim. If I got the wrong name, if I pronounced it wrong, please forgive me. The chapter of the NASDAR Eastpointe, Michigan has put together a display at the Michigan Military Technical Historical Society. You all know the place. The photo display focused on women of the 6,888th Battalion, so that's a long time, it's a lot of women. These 800+ women were the first all-Black women battalions to serve in Europe during World War II. First in England, their task was to sort through 2 years of mail and to ensure that it was delivered to military personnel. Completing their job in half the time allotted, the battalion was then sent to France for the same purpose. And she just hoped that I stop by for that. I definitely will once I look at my schedule, but I invite you all to go on that day. Let me make sure the date is on here. But they will be there. It's every Saturday. I believe the Military Museum opens only on Saturday, the one day out the week, right? Every Saturday, I'm not sure. It's every Saturday? Okay. So they'll be there. So anybody want to learn more about that history and Black history and and veterans and things like that, they put it all in one, and women. So let's go support that. It's in our community, we want to support, and it's Black history. Let's have fun with it. God bless you. So we're gonna go to adjournment, everyone.
Wait a minute, we're gonna do anything about
Oh, we gotta go. Oh, I was so happy. Look, I was happy.
snow emergency.
So let's go to I want to announce a snow emergency before we go. I think that's appropriate at this time. Thank you. Before we go, so that Mr. Palucci. And so I forgot, because we haven't did this in a while. Do we got to get a motion and support on that as the mayor? Okay, I haven't did it in a long time.
What time does it take effect?
We want to start it right now, if, want to be effective right now. Is that good? So again, what you think? I always take the advice of our DPW director.
DPW director suggested 7 a.m.
At 7 a.m.? When does it snow supposed
Tomorrow.
to come?
Sorry, 7 a.m. So it's gonna rain all through the night
Okay.
and freeze throughout the night, and then by 4 a.m. we should be getting snow. So if we have it started at 7 a.m. on February 2nd, that would be perfect.
February 2nd at 7? Okay. Any early, just let me know. Whatever, I trust your judgment. So thank you, Councilman Curley. So we did the mayor and council reports. We're going into closed session. You all can stay with us when we come back if you like, so we can announce what our solution was to this this issue right now. Yes, sir.
Madam Mayor, do you just announce what the reason for going into closed session is for?
Yes, sir. The closed session is attorney-client privilege communication for property acquisition. Council?
So move that we do that?
Support.
Motion and support to go into closed session. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes?
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Closed session, and I think we decided to go and. I think we're going in here. Did you get all the water?
Mayor, what group is, community group is the profit for your book zone to?
Community group?
Connie said it was, we're doing it for the city.
I think, yeah, I think so.
So then,
Did she give us a time? Are we going right in?
What?
Did the mayor give a time, or are we going right in?
No, we're going right in.
Okay, I didn't know she was giving us a break.
It's that conference.
Yeah, yeah.
You going that way?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, I get it.